What if the Vikings didn't just raid England's shores but conquered the entire kingdom? Historically, the Norsemen controlled parts of England through the Danelaw but never ruled it fully. This video explores an alternate history where the Great Heathen Army defeats Alfred the Great, establishing Viking rule over all of England. How would this shift reshape language, culture, politics, and even the modern world? Let's dive into a world where England became a Norse kingdom. The Vikings were seafaring warriors and traders from Scandinavia, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. Their raids began famously with the attack on Lindisfarne in 793 AD, shocking Christian Europe. Over time, Vikings settled and ruled parts of England, especially in the east and north. An area known as the Danelaw. Alfred the Great of Wessex resisted full Viking conquest, successfully pushing back their advances and preserving Anglo-Saxon rule. Later, from 1013 to 1042, King Cnut briefly united England under Viking control, forming the North Sea Empire. Yet this rule was short-lived and the full conquest of England by Vikings never happened until now. The turning point comes around 878 AD when, instead of Alfred the Great defeating the Great Heathen Army, the Vikings win decisively. England is not pushed back but fully overrun. The Norse consolidate control over the entire island, ending Anglo-Saxon political dominance. This moment rewrites history, setting the stage for a Viking England that lasts centuries rather than fading away. Under Viking rule, England transforms into a Norse kingdom, likely governed by Danish or Norwegian kings. London rises as a key Viking capital, replacing the Anglo-Saxon political centers like Winchester or later Westminster. The political structure shifts to a decentralized system with Jarls, Norse nobles ruling over clans and territories. Succession laws favor warrior elites, and power is more distributed, reflecting Scandinavian traditions. The warrior culture there thrives, supported by extensive seafaring networks connecting England to Norway, Denmark, and beyond. The church's influence diminishes, and landholding becomes less tied to ecclesiastical authority. Instead, clan loyalty and maritime prowess define social order. This new England is a patchwork of Norse cultural and political norms, blending with remnants of Anglo-Saxon traditions. England's full conquest by the Vikings would have deeply reshaped European and global geopolitics, embedding England as a core part of a broader Viking empire spanning Denmark and Norway. Historically, the North Sea Empire briefly united these kingdoms under King Cnut from 1016 to 1042, creating a thalassocracy connected by maritime power rather than land borders. In this alternate timeline, Viking England would be permanently integrated into this Norse-dominated network, strengthening ties across Scandinavia and the British Isles. Without the Norman Conquest of 1066, Normandy would not rise as a powerful duchy and William the Conqueror's invasion would never occur. This absence removes a key turning point that shaped medieval England and France. Instead, Viking influence might expand further into northern France and Ireland, consolidating Norse dominance in these regions. Politically and culturally, England would be less connected to the Roman and Latin Christian world, aligning more closely with Germanic and Norse traditions. This shift weakens papal influence and diminishes religious unity in Western Europe, as Viking paganism and later syncretic beliefs persist longer. The papacy's role in political affairs would decline, and alliances between England and continental Christian powers would be more tenuous or hostile. Overall, this Viking England would anchor a northern European power bloc distinct from the Latin West, altering trade, diplomacy, and religious landscapes for centuries. The English language rapidly integrates Norse vocabulary and grammar, creating a hybrid tongue closer to Old Norse than the Anglo-Saxon English we know. Pagan Norse beliefs flourish alongside Christianity, with temples dedicated to gods like Odin and Thor, and rituals such as Beelzebub and Yule becoming common. Christianization slows, and the church's power is curtailed. Everyday life reflects Norse influence. Clothing styles shift to woolen tunics and cloaks. Architecture favors wooden longhouses and staved churches, and farming adopts Scandinavian techniques. Over time, a syncretic Norse Christian religion might emerge, blending old gods with Christian saints. Festivals, law codes, and social customs all bear the mark of Norse tradition, creating a distinct cultural identity rooted in Viking heritage. The English language evolves with a strong Norse imprint. Syntax and vocabulary resemble Scandinavian languages more than Latin-derived French. Latin and French influences are greatly reduced, changing the character of English literature and law. Instead of Shakespeare or Chaucer, literary traditions draw from Norse sagas and Germanic oral storytelling, education and legal systems develop along Norse-Germanic lines, perhaps resembling Icelandic models with strong oral traditions and communal assemblies. Universities and clerical institutions are less dominant, and intellectual life centers on warrior culture, exploration, and maritime knowledge rather than classical scholarship. Without Magna Carta and the English parliamentary tradition, concepts of liberty and governance evolved differently. A Viking-style English empire might emerge less centralized, more maritime and clan-based. Norse-English explorers could colonize North America centuries earlier, changing the timeline of European settlement. The British Empire as we know it never forms. Instead, a North Sea empire might dominate trade and politics. The English-speaking world, America, Canada, Australia may never exist in their current forms or might speak a Norse-influenced language. Christianity's global spread is more localized and fragmented without England's role as a Christian stronghold. This alternate history reshapes global culture, politics, and religion in profound ways. History hinged on a few battles. Victory was not guaranteed. Imagine an England built on Viking values: freedom, clan, loyalty, seafaring, exploration. Culture, religion, language, and empire building would all be fundamentally different. This alternate Viking England reminds us how fragile and contingent history can be. The difference between raider and ruler was razor thin, and had the blade fallen the other way, the world might look very different today. If you enjoyed this alternate history, please like, comment, and subscribe. Explore more fascinating what-ifs with us.